How's it, everybody? This is Gordon from Keto Model Works, and today we're going to continue with the build of the Academy 1 to 144th scale Boeing B-52H buff. So what we're going to do today is finish up this build of the B-52, and that will include putting on the decals, weathering, adding the small bits and pieces that are missing, and of course painting those pesky little bombs that come in a multitude of amounts in this kit. So I'll just come out and say it. This is really crappy footage of me applying the decals on the side of the B-52, and absolutely no one can see what I'm doing. What I am doing is that I'm using Mr. Hobby Mark Setter and Softer. The recommended sequence of usage is usually the blue bottle first and then the green bottle, i.e. Mr. Setter first and then Mr. Softener last. For obvious reasons, you want to soften the decal once you've actually placed it in position. After you've placed it in position, go ahead and touch it, move it around as much as you want, because you will destroy that decal. Okay, next step was some weathering, and I chose to only highlight some certain panel lines on the kit, and I did that by using some Ammo MIG deep gray panel line wash. Just lightly applied that on the panel line that I wanted to highlight, and then once it's dry, just remove it with some odorless thinner. I also decided to use the panel line wash as a kind of grime indicator, especially around the Vortex Generators on the wings. To do the streaking from the Vortex Generators, I use a flat pointed brush that I just dip into the odorless thinner. And then the biggest secret that I can share with you guys is that the brush basically needs to be dry. Very, very little amount of odorless thinner is required to start manipulating the panel line wash into the little streaks for the Vortex Generators. Are we going to start counting how many times I say Vortex Generator? And quoting Mr. Bob Ross, what we need here is 3 hairs and some air. And for those of you who don't know Bob Ross, shame on you. And what that reference means is that we need to lightly touch the surface. If you are heavy-handed with this method right here, you'll simply remove all the panel line wash, and you've guessed it, you'll have to start all over again. Well, something of my ex came in usefully, and but the hairdryer will definitely help the process along of drying the panel line wash, especially if you plan on layering some other color or some more of the panel line wash. this is just a better example, closer up example of the process of applying the panel wash and then manipulating it into some grime, especially around the Vortex Generators. I'm gonna show the whole grime streak process from start to end, and if you don't want to watch that, you're more than welcome to fast forward a minute or so. After all the weathering has been completed, let's move on to the last few parts of the assembly. great example of a saying that we have in South Africa. With enough force, you can break off your finger in your asshole. In this case, yeah, I nearly broke off the elevator. Just needed a little bit of a adjustment, and it fitted just fine after that. At this stage, I wanted to continue some of the weathering, and I decided to highlight some spots on the buff with Tamiya XF66 in this case. I applied it where I thought there would be some tonal difference. This is complete hocus pocus. There are no references for this weathering, unlike in the previous video. It's complete artistic freedom. I spotted a pesky hair that somehow got into the undercarriage bay and promptly removed it. As I've said before, if you want to watch videos of, ooh, look at my perfect model kits and I make no mistakes at all, then this is not the channel for you. And now it's time to finish up the last couple of bits and pieces before completing the final assembly. Most of the assembly was completed. I used my trusty old method of Mr. Hobby GX100, thinned with some Mr. Leveling Thinner to seal in all the fun. Yes, this stuff is lacquer based and it will kill your lungs instantly, and so therefore please wear a respirator. Previously bought some of this Mr. Hobby grey tone super clear and decided to take it for a test run on the buff. All in all, the difference was very subtle and the complete paint job was toned down slightly. I also decided to whack down some of the grey tone clear onto those pesky decals to avoid any decal silvering. Here I'm just making sure to get in all the nooks and crannies of the buff. I continued the weathering, and especially these exhaust vents on the B-52's engines seems to be quite grimy. And I confirmed that after watching a video on YouTube of the startup sequence of a B-52, which turns out to be very, very smoky. When attaching the engines, make sure to check what engine goes onto what position on the wing. Also, the angle of the engines, for some reason, I don't know, just doesn't look correct. Might be me that made a mistake, but in short, there is no real positive alignment of anything when you attach the engines. So this is the Achilles heel of this kit, in my opinion. I think Academy could have improved the way that the engines attach to the wing. I decided to grime up the buff a bit more, especially around the, you've guessed it, the Vortex Generators. I used some of AK's pencils to accomplish this by wetting them and then applying the pigment with a Tamiya brush. I guess that is kind of defying the idea of the pencils, but this method works for me. if you've applied too much of the pigment, you can simply remove or change it with some water. Of course, one of the greatest moments in especially aircraft modeling is the time to remove the masks from the canopy. If there's any residue on the canopy parts, I usually dampen a cotton swab with some odorless thinner, and usually most of whatever is stuck to the clear parts will come off. Okay, time for these pesky bombs. Yeah, anyways. Lots of fun painting these little guys. I, at the end of the day, just decided to cut tiny pieces of masking tape and mask off the areas that needed to be olive drab. Personally, I think that Academy could have improved this slightly, but I can't unfortunately tell you how. So Academy might actually have done it the best way that you can. lots of masking and lots of patience. Some of you might recall about 100 years ago I did a part 1 for this build. And I had this long intro speech that I gave about it. And I was mentioning the angles of the bombs. And here you are. The angles of the bombs and all the fun that goes along with it. Final thing to do on the Lone Star Lady was to paint the exhaust outlets that needed to be a gunmetal color. I used some of the Tamiya flexible tape to just mask that area off, and then I brush painted some Vallejo gunmetal water-based paint on there. This is also the last time that my Vallejo paint actually worked. After this, all 6 of the bottles I had dried up. Yay. Remember, scale modeling is the only hobby where shrinking your problems actually makes them more fun. So yeah, sadly we've come to the end of this build. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and most of all I hope someone learned something about this beautiful Academy B-52 kit. It definitely has its issues, but I mean, no one ever said it is a Tamiya kit. So anyways, looking forward to doing the next videos for you guys, which will be the Great Wall Hobby A10 Warthog, or Vlakvark as we would say in South Africa. Once again, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Check out some merch that I've created for this specific B-52 and for a lot of other kits that I've built on the channel or that featured on my Facebook page. I would really appreciate if you guys could support me by buying some merch. Put a lot of effort into making sure that it's high quality products, and yeah, thanks once again for supporting this channel, and I will see you guys again.